Hello and welcome to another Only Trash Here podcast, episode 70. The date today is the 25th of January 2015. So we're back for a second week as I promised. Most people probably thought, nah, they won't be back. We've heard it all before. And you might be right for next week, but for this week, we kept our promise.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just the way you said the date. It sounds a bit weird to me because it was 15. I haven't heard the date. I haven't heard it being said very much.
What do you mean? What? Old 2015?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I was just when I was expecting it to be 14, and it threw me a little bit.
I know, right? I should have said it wrong, but that's not what I'm all about. You've got to be technically correct sometimes.
Yeah, we are in the year 2015.
That doesn't throw me off anymore. The whole date change. I mean, at school it always did.
Yeah. Because
you have to write the day every day, and it felt weird writing that differently. But I don't have to do that anymore. I have to be aware of the day because I'm a human being, but I don't have to write it, so it doesn't actually throw me off, I don't think.
Let's get this podcast off to a very boring start.
Yes.
How do you say the year?
What? I go 2015. I usually go with that.
Yeah, you don't say 2015, right?
No. I might do it on a occasion, but usually I just go 2015.
Because I remember reading about this when we entered the 2010s. People didn't know how to say it.
No?
No, because with the 2000s, you're set. It's 2009. You don't say 2009. That's just weird. But when it gets to the teens, or at least 10, 11, 12, and then teens, what do you say? 2010? Do you say 2010? That's so slow.
Well, whatever people said for the 1990s, you would say the same thing, wouldn't you?
Well, that's what you'd think. But, well, what, so... Yeah, but you couldn't say
1910, sure, yeah, why not? Stuff like that.
2000... So it wouldn't be 1900
No. No, it wouldn't.
I just remember there being something about that. But I'm glad you say 20.
Well, with me, it's because I've seen a lot of numbers in my day, not bragging. Mm-hmm. And to see like a number that's got 4 digits in, if it doesn't have a comma in it, then that's how I split it up. Like, I would only say it 2015 if there was a comma. Otherwise, it's 2015.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
2, comma 015.
Yes.
All right, I think that's suitably boring enough a start.
That is a very boring start.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Oh, you do treat us every week.
Mm-hmm.
Or last 2 weeks, let's say.
Yep, try my best.
Listen, well, I'll make it more interesting. I got 2 confessions before we start. The first is that I had a glass of wine before we started it.
Oh, red or white or rosé?
Well, red. I always go red. I'm a red man.
Yeah.
I had... Oh, God damn it, Joe. You and your Bournemouth.
I don't like wine.
That's fair enough. I didn't used to like wine until last year, I now have to say, I guess. Because all alcohol is an acquired taste, in my eyes. I never had a sip of alcohol and straight away thought, oh, that's yummy. It always takes time.
Yeah.
So I just made myself drink wine, and now here we all are.
That's very true, actually. I should just drink more.
Yes, that's always
the answer to all things.
Just drink more. It'll work out in the end.
So what's your next confession then?
Well, I've developed this new thing that when I'm at home, because basically I never wear shoes or socks.
Are you naked right now?
I'm not naked, but I'm not wearing trousers because it's just more comfortable that way.
I didn't need to know that.
Well, you asked.
No, I didn't ask.
Well, listen, you made it all boring with your dates and your numbers. I had to spice things up, add in the old sex appeal.
Oh, all right, okay. Fan art, please.
Here we go.
Get the
dog.
The dog. We want the dog without any trousers, please.
The dog. It's not a dog.
What? It is.
It's not a dog.
Send your fan art to Only Trash Here. What is it?
God damn it. Yeah, we do have an email. I mean, please don't send fan art. I mean, if you feel so implied, go for it. But it is onlytrashherepodcast@gmail.com. So
Naked
there
fan
you
art.
go.
Over there.
But it's also because of the way my new place is, that the way it gets heated, that where my desk is always a lot hotter than the rest of the place. So, it's just nice to have that freedom. And just not to be all stuffy.
Oldest excuse in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic.
Open the door, there's an attractive young lady there. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any trousers on. I'm just very hot in my room.
Oh, goodness gracious me, I can't believe this has happened. I'm recording a podcast and
Yeah.
I can see it all playing out.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
That's what the wine was for.
Oh, right, okay. So, trousers come off, then you drink the wine.
Exactly. How am I meant to record a podcast otherwise?
Yep. Got
Well, it's just because
set.
I had it lying around, actually. That's why I drank it. I don't like to go into a new week with some leftover alcohol.
Oh, is that? Right. Especially when, if it's like cork, you can't... Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's not a cork, but,
Oh.
it's fine.
Oh. It's not a carton, is it?
No, I can't.
You
I've
can't.
had carton cider. That is not good.
Have you seen Tesco's value wine? And it looks
I
like
have.
It looks like a lunch pack.
It really does. It's the same design. Have you tried it though? That's
No.
the question. Oh well, I have. I tried the white wine, and it was really disgusting. It was so bad that you couldn't really tell it was alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, because the taste of it was so, like, kind of overwhelmingly just...
Rancid?
rancid, that you just couldn't tell that you could drink that whole stuff and not feel like you've actually drank any alcohol at all and just feel sad and alone. I think that's its desired effects.
Why do they even make that, though?
Well, there is a market for really cheap alcohol. Like, people do buy it in bulk.
I would have thought anyone who wanted stuff that cheap, they'd maybe go for White Lightning. You get more alcohol for money there.
Well, maybe they want to class up the joint without breaking the bank. You ever thought of that?
Pass me the carton, I will get the little straw.
Oh, it's my birthday. Get the cartons. It will be a grand old time. I'll meet you under the bridge. We'll start a fire.
To be fair though, I do like, we're not talking about those cheapo ones, but you know the ones that come in the cardboard boxes and you have that little tap of wine? They're fun just because you have a little tap. I think that's pretty cool.
I don't know how much fun you really have beyond the wine's coming out.
I press the button, the wine comes out.
I see what you're saying, but I think maybe fun is the wrong word. It's not like, guys, check it out, I'm pouring wine. Way! I can't imagine that.
It's more fun than pouring it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends. But, I mean, if you were having a dinner, you wouldn't be like, well, hey... I don't think that would work out.
At a romantic restaurant. Waiter, bring me the little box.
Bring me the house box. He comes out like, well, hey, come on, guys. Get your glasses.
That'll be, I'll plan that for a date at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Winning technique there.
He wouldn't come home with you after that.
I don't know. There's no answer to that question.
No, there's not. Right. Some news?
If there's any.
We're keeping it brief. Keeping it brief on the news. So, I mean, I guess the main thing that kind of really happened in terms of tech is this Microsoft HoloLens.
Oh, yeah.
They did their own live event for Windows 10, in which they announced Windows 10. And then they also had Cortana on PCs. But the biggest thing was HoloLens, which I don't really care about Microsoft, so I didn't really look up anything about it until about, 5 minutes before the podcast. So, from what I can tell, it's like a thing that you put around your eyes, and it is virtual reality, but what it does is that instead of just projecting an image that you're kind of meant to be immersed in, it projects stuff around the room, so you can say have a Skype call going on, and you can be video chatting, but that will go on in a box, floating in front of you, or...
Augmented reality.
Yeah, augmented reality. It just kind of builds upon what you're seeing in that way. And that's a cool idea. I definitely like the idea of it. But seeing some video of, like, some PR video where it's just like, here's the guy watching the football while wearing it, and here's someone at what, it's like, that's cool, but that's not really showing off anything. Like, anyone can make that sort of video. So I'm assuming that the tech is probably going to be quite terrible when it first comes out, but I'm behind the idea of it. It looked pretty cool.
I only saw a bit of it. I think it must have been linked from some Minecraft site. I only saw the Minecraft bit, which was literally like, I think it was a GIF. That's how I saw it. Someone made it into a GIF, and it's where you had your Minecraft world sort of laid out over your furniture and stuff, which I don't see the point of, because then it's like Lego basically. Which, well, yeah, and Minecraft is about being in first person. You're supposed to be in the world, not sort of like God looking over it. But someone did point out it's a cool way for maybe like little kids to show off they'll be like, Mum, come and look at this, and they'll show you the world or whatever, that sort of thing. How stupid does the headset look? I didn't actually get to see it.
It doesn't look too bad, but I don't think you can ever make it not look stupid. They did kind of seem to avoid showing it from the front in the video, though. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously on stage they showed it, but in the actual video itself, where it was all the applications, they did kind of avoid that.
Right.
So, it probably does look kind of dumb.
I suppose it's an indoor thing, so it doesn't really... It's like... the first thing I thought when I saw that was, oh, it's a bit like Google Glass, but Google Glass is supposed to be used outside, hence why people didn't really... Well, it was expensive as well, but it looks a bit silly. But if it's indoors, I guess who cares what it looks like?
Well, I think Google Glass didn't really have that much application, really. I mean, it was nice to have a camera there and to bring stuff up, but I think with that was just kind of like a nothing-y kind of invention, where they just didn't really have any ideas. They just thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had these glasses, and then we do some stuff with that, and it's just like, well, not much point of it. This does actually seem to have some cool applications with, like, two people wearing it, and they can both view a hologram. Like, it is actually holograms that you see. I mean, we don't know exactly how they look, and I don't think you can know without actually putting on one of the devices, but it is trying to create holograms around the home. So that is something cool. That is something useful. And I mean, every time I see something like this, I mean, I'm obviously always like a bit pessimistic and being like, it's probably not as cool as it looks, but it always makes me feel like a kid when you kind of watch all the films about the future and you see all the cool future stuff, and then you kind of think, wow, I can't wait to be dead when that actually happens. And then to actually see a version of it show up like this, like holograms actually will be happening soon, probably in the next, I mean, they didn't announce a date, but in like 2 years it'll be out. So to actually have that happen soon seems crazy, and it makes me feel kind of old, but also kind of like excited, being like, yeah, I get to play with holograms, because in my head I never thought I would properly see that. I mean, I didn't really think about it, but at the same time, you never kind of imagine it where that does actually happen.
No, that's true. We are getting a bit faster in terms of that sort of stuff. So, you said you're not an Xbox guy. Would you get it? You got an Xbox One.
I would get it, but I know that I won't get it when it comes out, because like everything, it's getting to the point where if you buy something when it comes out, you're going to get like the worst version of it guaranteed.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost like at least 400 quid if it's holograms and all that. So initially, no, definitely not. But I'm definitely got like the interest there. It's just like the money and everything else like that. Although really, I think it's cool, but for me to buy and to have it at home would be ultimately pointless. Like, it would just be kind of a cool toy. But I have screens. There's nothing that I find really difficult that, would be solved by using this device. So I would really enjoy having it, but there's not enough practical application where I would buy it for how much it's going to cost.
That's my thought, is that I could just picture myself getting it and then using it and being, oh, that's cool, and then throw it over the shoulder. I'm done. Because I can't think of any. What practical use could you have for that sort of technology in the house? I just can't think of anything. Maybe in the kitchen you have an overlay of a recipe. There's a cookbook. It's just I don't know. It's not £400 worth of, or however much it's going to be, of usefulness. I just can't, because it's not like a virtual. We say it's not a virtual reality thing. There's still real life in there. So I don't know. I'm being a bit miserable. It's kind of cool, I guess.
Well, that's what a lot of technology is, and that's what I don't like about the iPad, is that people really adapted to the iPad, but ultimately it wasn't anything different or innovative or anything really interesting. But it kind of, I think, opened up the doors for people releasing technology that isn't revolutionary in terms of like actually applying it to real life, but them trying to actually convince people that it is. So an iPad is just like, whatever, you don't need it. It's kind of nice for some people who aren't tech savvy, but that's pretty much it. And then with this, it's like, well, you don't really need it. And I think they're trying to jump the gun with a lot of these devices where if you allowed it to be integrated into your life, you could find it really useful. Just having this, you come home, you put it on, you would find it useful throughout the day having this thing. But in terms of convincing a consumer to buy it, that's kind of a different story. But I think it's why they also announced that Windows 10, they're going to do it all for free, because I think they got some big plans for Windows 10 in terms of technology-wise and programs, but people are going to actually have to own Windows 10 to be able to take advantage of it, which is why I'm assuming they're giving it away for free so everyone's on the same plane. So they can
one year, right?
Yeah, for 1 year. So I think they're just trying to get everyone on that same plane, that same level field, so they can then build off it. Because it must be kind of frustrating as a company to have everyone all on different versions of Windows, the solution would be to make the new Windows actually better rather than make it suck and have tons of problems, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so I think if you just naturally let it be integrated, but then I'm not going to buy it. So they kind of have to make sure it's either cheap or whatever, or make it expand on what the applications are, or hope they kind of get lucky like Apple with the iPad, because ultimately they did get lucky, if we're being honest.
The iPad?
Yeah, I would say they got a little lucky there.
Are you referring to just the iPad or tablets in general?
Well, it sparked tablets in general, but I think we were like naturally getting to the point where we were gonna have tablets, but then Apple's made this big push for just the iPad. Kind of a bit. I guess it was innovative in a way because it did pave the way for tablets. But I think we were naturally getting to that point, and then Apple just kind of took a leap and being like, here's a separate thing. So I think in that respect, people could have just been like, I don't care. I don't know.
Apple's so I'm very confused by Apple customers, and especially ones that get the new phone every time. I don't even.
Well, Apple's like, they're kind of brilliant in the way where they've convinced their customers that they're smart for always buying Apple, so they always buy Apple and they always feel smart. It's like, it's really interesting. Like, no other company. I mean, other companies do make people feel that way. Like, when you buy a certain phone, a lot of people will be smug about it and say this is the best phone ever, all other phones suck, because that's just the way people are. But I think Apple were the first to kind of capitalize on that, where it's just like, well, you can buy a Mac, it's so much better. Sure, you're paying twice the price, but you're the smart one because you're not buying a terrible Windows thing. And then with the phone, it's like, well, you gotta get the iPhone because you gotta be smart and get the best phone. Sure, you pay twice as much, but so that's always kind of been their thing. And there's enough people willing to get sucked into it and have enough disposable income nowadays because, or whatever, for some reason they do. So I think Apple are very smart in that respect. And I think the iPad being successful was so ingrained in that mindset that people used to have. I think people are snapping out of it a little bit. there's obviously Apple still has their customers, but I think people are snapping out of that just a bit, or in recent times, because of Apple slipping a little bit. But back then, I think when they released the iPad, it was the height of people really being sucked into Apple, which is why they got that initial user base who just automatically brought it, and then because they already had it, then they let it get integrated into their lives naturally. But I don't think Microsoft has that sort of... People don't really like Microsoft, but I don't think people hate them that much. Like, obviously some people do, but Microsoft don't have that pull where they can just release a device, people will take the leap of faith, and then it will naturally get integrated and people will spread the word. So I don't think it will do too well. I mean, that wasn't the question of what we were talking about, but I don't think it will do too well in the end. But, you know, again, it looks kind of cool. Whatever. That's fine.
Well, this whole iPad thing, which is sort of related, I understand why you brought it up, but
sure.
I think the jump from whatever it was before that to tablets and the iPad wasn't as big. It was basically everyone was on a computer, and so it was just having a computer in front of the TV. Because apparently that's what a lot of people do. I was at work and we get all these stupid surveys come in and lots of charts and stuff. And apparently people use the tablets whilst watching TV.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the things didn't lie, but I don't use it for that anyway. But I can see why. Yeah, it's just a computer, just kind of in your hands. But then going from that to something you wear on your head, and that's a bit bigger. So I was going to say Microsoft are maybe a bit too early with this, but then someone's got to be first to do it. Someone's got to kind of take the leap of faith, and they've got a lot of money, so why not them?
Well, the Dreamcast was the first to do online, and
yeah.
Oh boy. Oof. Well then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we are naturally moving towards these kind of virtual headsets. It's just, yeah, I think taking the leap and getting people to just wear it is going to be the biggest challenge. But then I guess with phones and iPads and all the rest of it, people are just more open to technology. So maybe people will just be open to the idea of having this on their heads. You know, I think we kind of got over that barrier of people being unwilling to buy new technology, or technology not, you know, sweeping the human race or whatever. You know, a few years ago, I think we kind of get over that hurdle. So maybe people will be willing to use these things. I mean, obviously somebody's going to buy them. I don't know. I think, you know what? Maybe we'll have to wait and see. Just maybe.
Screw this. Why are we doing Microsoft's job for them? We're like trying to predict. Screw that. They've thought of all this. Leave them to it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, this could just be them trying to show themselves as a tech-savvy company rather than trying to make profits. Maybe. Or maybe it's a long term where they don't think people will adopt it first, but eventually over time, once other people release theirs and whatever, I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't know. It seems weird actually thinking about buying one of these devices anyway. I mean, we are like at least a year off, maybe 2. So when I see it in a shop, maybe I'll give it more thought. But at the moment, it's just like Microsoft was like, here's a thing, it's going to be cool. But at this point in time, we've seen a lot of things where people are like, here's a thing, should be cool. So we haven't seen how any of these devices do, or how any of this virtual reality stuff plays out. So I don't think we can say how willing people are to use it. I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to how good actually is it. And because all the other virtual reality stuff and 3D stuff always failed because it wasn't good. Like in the end, the technology just wasn't there. So of course people aren't going to use it. But if they've reached that point where the technology is there and every single company is going to push for these virtual reality sort of stuff, then eventually it will have to be successful. Like eventually it will. So maybe it will over time.
I think there's always going to be an element of disappointment though. Because you were saying yourself about it, these things, and it reminds you of a kid, and you're like, oh, all the things out of the science fiction films. You build up such an image in your head of what they're going to be like. And I'm sure, even with the best technology, it's always going to sort of be a bit crapper than you think.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't want that to be the case, but I'm sure you just have that sort of, oh, it hasn't sort of aligned properly, or oh, it's glitching out a bit there, or something like that, and it'll just kind of, oh.
I think it could be there, though. I think it could be.
I don't know. I haven't even tried things like the Oculus Rift, so I have no idea.
That's a bit lame, but the one I tried was an older one, so maybe they figured that out too, but... Maybe. Alright, anyway, so moving on. So something that I want to bring up is that this week it got announced that Borderlands 2 is coming to PS4 and Xbox One, along with the prequel.
But not Borderlands 1.
Not Borderlands 1.
Weird.
I guess it's weird, but...
Well, annoying, actually. More like annoying.
Why annoying?
Because you'd want... Well, if I were new to the franchise, I suppose it's not... Maybe it's not for people who are new to the franchise, but you'd want to start from the beginning.
I suppose, but I think with... I don't know how much I can really speak and have it be objective or factual, because I would say that Borderlands 2 built on a lot of what Borderlands 1 did and made it better, so it would be pointless to go back and play Borderlands 1, except for the point, except for nostalgia and for the sake of seeing the first one. And I think with a lot of games, the point in importing them is so people can play them online multiplayer, so I can see why they would leave out the first one, when it's just a case of, you know what, people, it's only there for the sake of, this is where the franchise started because Borderlands 2 just did it better.
Annoying.
Annoying.
Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just me, being... wanting things in a nice package. Sure. If it was just the complete collection, I think it would be nice. It'd be nice.
It would be nice. I mean, there is only one other game in the series, but I get it. I do get it.
Okay.
Although there is...
Get it, though.
No, I don't like Borderlands.
I've got it over there. I haven't tried it yet, but it's over there.
I have it too. It's called Destiny. Am I right or wrong?
I don't know. Are you?
Oh.
I haven't played it. I don't even know.
Destiny. When I played Destiny, it was like, oh, this is Borderlands.
Oh.
Great.
I'm not minding Destiny.
Great.
Although I've read a lot of bad things about it. So I'm not looking forward to playing more of it and realising that the bad stuff's true.
Well, when you have all that hype as well, Destiny was always going to get... It was too much hype. It was ridiculous, the levels of hype for that game. Built up by Bungie themselves. Not by people. By Bungie did all of that. And it was too much. Far too much. It got 70 something on Metacritic, which is pretty hilarious when I read that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Well,
that's it.
Yeah, well, in the 70s then, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think the reason I bring up this port is because it's not interesting.
Because you hate Borderlands, you want to moan about it.
Well, I do. But my point is that I'm getting really sick of all these ports to the next gen. I think it's getting to the point where it's a little embarrassing that they're still happening. Because it's right, with the 360, there was a few ports, right? I mean, you got the gun, you got the Burnout Revenge, Just Cause 2, no, Just Cause 1, wait, what? No, Just Cause 1 I think was one, and a few others. But when people look back on the 360 and think, oh, what were the great games at launch, you wouldn't say any of them. Or in the first 2 years, you would be like, oh, there was Oblivion came out on the 360 and the PS3 had other... you wouldn't cite the ports. But it's got to the point now with the PS4 and Xbox One where all the notable games that have really come out since they've both been released are the ports. So I think I got a little list of ports.
You've done your research.
Yeah, because I was when this got announced, I was just like, enough of the ports. there are so many stupid ports coming to these systems. It's just like, I know can they not release a game on these new systems that isn't either really buggy or a port? It seems like they're kind of being capable of doing that. So the ports so far, we got the Borderlands 1, we got GTA 5, got The Last of Us, Halo, which I know is a remake, but come on, guys. Dark Souls 2, Injustice, and Tomb Raider. Which I know that's 7 games there. Which I know doesn't sound ridiculous, but in terms of like, if you then took out every game that came out on the PS3 and 360 alongside the PS4 and Xbox One, because if that happened, then it's not a real next-gen game. So you take out all the ports, take out all the cross-platform ones, you have like nothing that's really good. There's nothing on these new systems. And I've moaned about, the lack of games on these new systems before, but when you take out those 2 variables, it's just like there's nothing. And what I think it is that it costs so much money to make games nowadays, but obviously developers aren't going to make more money making PS4 games than they would have done making PS3 games, and PS3 games were already expensive as it was. So every single generation, what we're getting is that it costs more and more, and there's more and more resources in each game, but the developer is going to make the same amount of money per game anyway, so that doesn't actually change anything. So I think the only thing that's really keeping the industry afloat is the fact that it's been expanding for the last 10 years with more and more consumers, but now we got this really weird thing where developers don't want to take risks and publishers don't want to take these big risks just due to how expensive games are. They still want to keep to the same schedule that they had before, where they were pumping out games every year and hence making up the money that they wouldn't have made in previous generations. And then we're also getting it where they're just like, they're going to make the same amount of money porting an older game that gamers are far too happy to buy than they would a new game. So why would they not do that? It's really just become very messy. And as a consumer, it's become a little frustrating where I've got my PS4 and my Xbox One, and they're just kind of pointless. Because a developer won't not make a game on the older system so they can make their money back because of the large install base of the older systems. But then they won't make anything new because they can just port older games which people are happy to play. Like Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. Pre-sequel came out last year. Borderlands 2 isn't that old. Borderlands 1 came out in 2009, so Borderlands 2 was probably 2011. Not that old games at all. GTA 5, not that old. Last of Us, Halo, whatever. These are not old games. But people buy them like at the same rate as if they were a new game. So it's just like, as a consumer, I'm just kind of screwed. Where it's like, I just want to play some new video games on my new system, but I can't because the industry has kind of screwed itself. Where if there is a new game, it's going to be really buggy and unfinished, and if it's not a new game, then it's not going to be good. So I'm a little frustrated at the moment, in case you can't tell, where I just want to play new stuff, and it's just not happening.
I can understand this. I can understand after that. Could almost be like a speech.
I would say a rally. Just them a cry to arms. Call to arms, I think.
Well, why can't they just... Alright, games are expensive. Why?
Why isn't to buy or to make?
To make.
Because you gotta hire like so many different employees, and then you gotta to make, to generate those images. Before they're becoming more complex as they go along. Like,
okay.
In terms of graphics, the jump between the 360 and the Xbox One, to keep it simple, it hasn't been as big as previous generations. But in terms of the technology behind it, it has been as big. Because the 360, I think, has something stupid like 256 megabytes of RAM. The older ones, and then of course all your old your new 360 games can run on that. So they had to make games that could run on that hardware, and now they've got the Xbox One that has 8 gigs of RAM and all the different processors. I don't know all the details, but the fact is that the jump in hardware was still there. You just couldn't quite see it because at the moment we're what's it called? It's an asymptote. So we're getting to the point where graphics are only going to get so good, and it started slowing down. But because the technology is still, and the money is still jumped, like it still takes more resources because, that tree that someone would have to make and render and put in the game before would only have so many pixels, and now that same tree has like 8 times as many, even though it doesn't look like it, or it doesn't, look like that big step. So each generation, it's always been increasing. It's just now got to the point where before you could make a game with like 5 people 10 years ago, and now you've got to have all the assets and just have everything behind it, and with motion capture, and you've got to hire the voice actors, and you've got to properly test it, and games now need to be thoroughly tested, and with the online testing is now a complete nightmare. So that's why it just all builds upon itself, where like film and anything else, where the more you kind of put into it, the more you have on screen, then the more you got to have behind it. Even though with games graphically the jump was smaller, but everything in the background still increased in terms of production and everything by quite a lot.
Okay, well, the reason why I ask that is because, and clearly I'm wrong, but I would have thought the way technology is that actually the cost of making a game, this is my thought process anyway,
okay,
the cost of making a game wouldn't have changed much because as technology grows, things become cheaper. As in, back when they were making the games in the early 2000s or whatever, it would cost just as much because they're using the new technology at the time. Like, when you say about films back in the 40s, when they were adjusted for inflation, cost huge amounts. Because they were using the best they had at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? You probably are right, but
there is more like online and stuff, so you are right, yeah.
Yeah, I think you are right to an extent, where in terms of technology, of course, acquiring the tools and building it isn't going to be inexpensive, and people are going to have the expertise and whatever and going to keep up, so it's not quite as linear as next generation, the price will increase by this much, but it's still in just manpower, like the manpower that you have to have behind these games, I think is what does it, really, where you have to have a certain amount of people, where before, you would just get a physics engine or whatever, but now you've got to have all these people working on the physics so it works. And just speaking from a testing side of things, because that's the only side I actually properly know, you need more people. Like, there's so many more ways that something can go wrong that you wouldn't even kind of think of, that you just need more. It's just manpower for the most part. So I think you are right in terms of technology. It's not a massive deal or not a massive increase, but just manpower keeps it nice and high, the costs.
So what you're saying, Tom, is that they should make games cheaper by paying you less.
No. They should make games cheaper by firing me, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Whoops.
So to round off this section of the podcast, you're saying that video game industry is screwed. I
don't think it's screwed.
I think you're saying it's screwed.
Because I'm not one of these bloody naysayers who's all like, the 1983 crash is coming, you guys. No, it's not. It's too successful, the industry. There's too many people making a lot of money for it to collapse. There might be like some changes with the way things go, but a crash, no. We're not heading in that direction anytime soon. My point is that this generation is just having a very slow start because developers need to make back their money, and AAA games are now more of a risk to invest all that money in, because they can easily make it back. Like, oh my god, they can easily make all that money back and reuse assets and all that, but, development of new consoles is always going to cost more and take a longer time. I just think with this generation, it's the worst that it's ever been because of, resources and manpower needing, they need more of it. And also it doesn't help that the last generation was so long that it got such a big install base that they still want to accommodate for them to make sure they keep their money. So What I'm saying is that it will pick up. In 2 years' time, it will just be exclusive PS4 and Xbox One games and Wii U games. But for the time being, it's just slower than before. So that's what I'm really saying. And it's just frustrating as a guy who wants to play new games, and when that's just not happening because of this slow start to this generation.
Okay. All right then. Debbie Downer.
No! Well, yes. But it's like there's a reason why games are getting delayed or they get released really buggy. And it's not because developers are incompetent and don't know what they're doing. It's because of how resource intensive these new games are. And developers got very comfortable with a set model that they laid out in the last generation, where it was released one every year or every 2 years. They were very comfortable with that model, and it made them a stupid amount of money by doing that. So now that they can't do that anymore, they're trying to, but they can't figure it out, and it's just made everything a big mess. With, like I said, games either get delayed or released buggy. And we definitely saw a lot of that last year. It was pretty rough.
Okay, so let's change that, right? So what this section of the podcast means is don't go out and buy the Borderlands port.
No, don't do it.
You're sending the wrong message to the developers and the publishers.
Well, it's not that. I mean, they will start making kind of new games. It's more... It's not one of these situations where you can, that you can do anything explicitly and be like, don't buy this, do buy this. I think it's just more of it's something that will fix itself. I think it's more of a... it's just something that will fix itself over time, hopefully. But then again, with the PS5 and the Xbox 2, that's going to be even worse. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of in the hands of the developers at this point, because people will buy new games, but I don't think the solution is not to buy ports. It's just... I don't know. We just have to wait as a consumer and hope that they figure it out. Which they should.
Well, that's boring, though.
It's a little dull, I'm afraid, but... I don't know. Maybe not buying ports would help, but... I don't know.
Well, it's got sad now.
It did?
Shall I talk about this game I played?
You played a game?
I played a game!
Ah, good news.
Well, let's make this clear. I played a new game. Something I don't usually do.
Ooh.
I don't know why, but... Well, I know why, but...
You don't know why you played a new game?
I know what kind of led me to the game, but I don't know why I bought it. There was this guy made a video on it. It's this game from Steam called... Crap, what's it called? Stranded Deep.
Right.
And I watched this first video this guy made of it, and it's basically Castaway, the game.
Well, it's about time.
Well, yeah. I thought so too. You're in the plane crash, and you crash in the middle of an ocean, and the thing that caught my eye was the fact that it's procedurally generated. And you know me with Minecraft, I love things that are random, it's different every time, blah blah blah. So you swim in this ocean, and it's all random islands all over the place, and it's a bit like the guy in the video was saying it's a bit like this game called The Forest, but I've never seen that game. I don't know if you have.
Nope.
But it's all about sort of you chop down some trees, and then you get the wood, and then use the wood to build a hammer, and then so it's basically Minecraft. And it's I don't know why. Well, I guess that's why. It's because it's something I've sort of played already before, but it's in a style that I thought seemed cool, like sort of exotic islands, and I've only just played a couple of hours of it, but started off by making a few tools, and then you go and find a shipwreck, and in the shipwreck there's for some reason there's a brand new torch in there, and there's a torch in the ocean, I'll use this. And then I got attacked by a bloody tiger shark.
Oh no.
There's sharks in the game and stuff. I think I've only touched the surface, but the thing that I'm really liking is I stopped watching that guy's video. I bought the game on Steam and I stopped watching his videos because I didn't want to know what to do. And I've always said before about Minecraft, it'd be so good to just play Minecraft for the first time again and just not have a clue what you're doing and just the fun of figuring it out. That's kind of what I'm getting from this, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Literally, you throw these sticks onto the ground, and sometimes you get the option to make things. It's like, I'll go grab a coconut, throw that on the pile. Can I make anything yet? Nope. All right, I'll go pull some leaves off this plant. Nope, still not. So it's all kind of trial and error at the moment, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, I haven't died yet somehow. I think you can die from sharks, I guess. Although this shark was being pretty nice to me. He was just sort of swimming around me, not nibbling very much anyway. But I'm guessing, or I'm hoping, there's more sort of things to kill you. It does get a little bit creepy at night time. But this is in early access. It's one of those ones, so it is a little bit buggy. Yeah, it's a bit buggy, and I'm definitely not finished. But I did have a quick look over the developers just to see if they weren't too sort of, I don't know, if you could sort of get an impression of them, because there's a lot of that stuff about, what was that zombie game called? H1Z1 recently. They seem like they're going to keep on with the game. It's not like bloody Cube World where the guy just disappeared and didn't do anything afterwards. So I'm hoping it does get more stuff added, but for the time being, I'm having fun not knowing what I'm doing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, there's
I like the random stuff.
There's two games that kind of come to mind when you mention that game. I mean, the first is Don't Starve.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it like that? I mean, I'm guessing in terms of style, maybe not?
No, not in style, but in terms of mechanics, I'd say so, yeah.
Okay. Then the other one is a game called Another Code, which is about being stranded on an island and all that.
Ah.
I don't know much about it otherwise, but, it was on the DS, so that's why I know that it exists.
Well, the game, aside from having a few weird sort of glitches every now and then, the game's very pretty. It's sort of in a realistic style, but you could just sit on the little beach, watch the sun go down as these little crabs scuttle away.
Oh,
yeah.
That's lovely.
It's got a nice atmosphere, I'll say that. That's another reason why I got it, is because it does seem very... You are literally in the middle of nowhere, and it's just a nice... It's something different as well. Well, obviously not that different, because you just said about those games, but it's different to me.
Well, sounds
actually, I've
cool.
played one other new game as well.
No,
it's not new anymore, but it's new to me again.
Oh.
I started playing a game called Murdered Soul Suspect on the PS4.
Is it because it was dirt cheap by any chance?
I think that's why my mum got it for me for Christmas.
Oh.
Because I said to her, if you're going to get me a PlayStation game, Mum, don't spend 50 quid on one. I don't want one that costs 50 quid, because that's a ridiculous amount of money. So she got me this really cheap one.
You were thinking 45, Something still pretty good, but not crazy.
It's all right. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's really not worth talking about. But it's actually a lot like that Sherlock Holmes games that I was saying about, but better. So there you go.
I thought, well, that's good.
Yeah, there's more into it than just the game telling you exactly what to do.
I have seen stuff about that game. I was actually interested in playing it because of the concept, and in terms of the story, it seemed like it might be a game that would really go somewhere with the story, and I've watched some videos of it. I haven't seen all of it, and I haven't played it, so I don't know if it does, but I mean, I hope for your sake it goes somewhere, and that'd be cool.
I have a feeling it won't, but it's like the only other game I've got on my PS4 now, so I'm going to play it.
Well, it is meant to be short.
Oh, good. I do like a short game.
You could beat it in a day if you were really determined, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really that sort of gamer anymore, though.
Well, let's say 4 days. That's pretty generous.
Give me a month.
Okay, we'll say in 2016 I'll ask you about it. You'll be like, well, I'm halfway through, it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
I'll write down write down in my diary like every sort of appointment to play it over the next year.
So I got a couple of things going on.
I don't care.
Right. Well, I mean, emotionally I wasn't ready for that. I mean, wow.
No, go on. What is it?
Well, the first thing is that my PS4 should come back tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
So I can play my PS4 games. Because I've got, sitting where my PS4 should be, got a couple or a copy of Watch Dogs, Evil Within. Oh, what are the other two? I've got Lego The Hobbit for some reason.
Did you get a little Lego figure with that?
No, I just got the standard one, I'm afraid.
You suck.
So, thanks. What was it? Watch Dogs, Evil Within, Lego The Hobbit. Oh, what's the other one? There's another game that I want to play. I don't know if I'm going to play it straight away. You know what? I'm going to check, because it'll only take me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Joe, you keep this going.
Okay, well, remember last podcast, everyone? I had a packet of chocolate digestive caramel versions. Today, this week's biscuit of choice is a Jammy Dodger. I have eaten about half the packet, and some of them have got stuck to the inside of the box, which is a bit annoying.
Found out what it was.
Excuse me, I'm talking to the listeners.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening.
But I would say these are pretty nice. I don't like the custard Jammy Dodgers. They're weird. But normal Jammy Dodgers are very good.
I don't mind the custard ones.
Well, get the hell out of here.
I think they're a little too plain and seem a little pointless, but I don't mind them.
And then you got these chocolate ones. You may as well just get BNBNs.
Do 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 do.
Boom.
Do 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 do.
Anyway, what's the game?
Oh, it was The Last of Us remastered.
Yeah.
I was gonna... Ugh. I also got Destiny, which I might play. I forgot that I had that sitting there.
We should play that.
We will. So out of shape.
Because I'm higher level than you.
Oh, you're dead. All right. When I get my PS4 back,
Oh, damn.
Mr. Casual play every 10 minutes every week. I'll be there 5 hours a day. Just I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna show him what it's like.
All right. Well, you can deal with the fighting, and I'll just sort of linger.
Talk about Jammy Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe no. Actually, not Jammy Dodgers. By then it'll be a different biscuit.
Well, of course.
Different every time.
Got a fast palette of different biscuits to try.
I tell you what. No, actually, I won't. I'll save those biscuits for another time. Actually, I was about to say another one, but I'll wait.
Well, yeah, you got to keep a reason for the viewers or the listeners to come back.
I know. Yeah.
Can't go crazy.
What was I
with your
thinking?
Biscuits. But now the question for me is, which one do I play first? Because I'm thinking, right, I do really want to get back into The Last of Us, and I want to be playing it on hard, so I think it's been long enough where I can play it, and it would be good if I sit down and play through that to get it out of the way, as it's a game I've already played, so let's play through it, experience it again, be like, well, Joe, and then put it on the shelf and be done with it. But then I'm thinking, maybe I will put it to the back of the queue, because I would rather play new stuff. I don't know if you heard that rant earlier, but I want to play some new stuff.
Really?
I do. I really do. So then I'm thinking maybe I go with Watch Dogs, because it's probably going to be the most bland and whatever to play. So get that out the way. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. I've got to get stuff out the way. Why would you
play a game with that thought for it? Get it out of the way. Just don't play it.
Because it might be good.
It won't be good.
I might have a great time.
You won't.
There's a chance.
Okay.
Cool. I'm glad we got to some sort of agreement here. No, because I do want to play it just to play it. It's a new game. I don't think it's horrible. I just think it probably is just going to be another one of those. So I might just play it to get out of the way, because I don't want to blow my load by playing the best one first. That's what I'm thinking.
So what do you think is the best one?
Well, The Last of Us is probably technically the best one, but that won't be a fresh experience.
No.
So I think that gives the other games a little edge over the other ones. And then Destiny is a game that I guess you can complete, but you're not meant to. So I'm not too bothered about diving into that straight away. So I don't know. And with Evil Within, I've heard mixed things. That's the one I'm most interested to play, because I haven't played it, and over Watch Dogs and Destinies and Lego The Hobbit, that's the one I'm more interested in. But I don't want to play that first, because if it's disappointing, then it's like, great, now I get to play Watch Dogs. So I don't know what to play first. It's very confusing.
Okay, I've done it.
You've done it?
You're going to start out with a sprinkling of Destiny.
Hold on. Sprinkling
Of
Destiny.
Not too much, but not too little. Just enough.
Just enough.
Just enough as Destiny. You'll be like, okay, I'm a bit bored of that now. I'll wait till I can watch Joe be really good at it. And then you go...
Joe's a liar? Just write that down. There we go. We got it down.
And then you move on to Evil Within.
Okay.
Because I think if you're most interested in that, play it.
Okay.
Life is too short, Tom. Just play it.
Yeah, I might die tomorrow, so I got to play my horror games.
And there's a thought behind this as well, because whether you hate it or not, that was the one you were interested in. So you do that. Afterwards, we go with Watch Dogs. Now, you may be thinking, but why are you leaving Last of Us last?
Truly, it's Last of Us. Last of Us.
I don't know about you, but are you someone that... Okay, we're going to get into food now. You have a plate of food. One aspect of it is your favourite bit. Do you eat that first, or do you leave it to the end?
I eat it all as one.
That's not an answer.
Well, I don't scoop all as one, but say with the Christmas roast, right?
Right, yeah.
Pigs in blanket, the roasties, and the Yorkshire. They're the highlights.
Yeah.
I just dive between everything. Like a bit of veg on one, then I'll jump into one of those. So I don't eat it separately.
Well, that's not the answer I was looking for.
Oh.
So the reason why Last of Us is going to be last is because even if Watch Dogs is really, really bad and you hate it, you have Last of Us to look forward to.
Okay. See, I do like that logic, but let me tweak that a little bit.
No.
Oh.
What was your tweaking?
The tweaking is that Destiny doesn't have a fixed place, and instead I just kind of jump into it for maybe half an hour on one day, because it is one of those sort of games. So Destiny has no fixed place. It's just something that I might check out.
But it was only a sprinkling, remember? Just a sprinkling.
It is a sprinkling. I will keep the sprinkling.
Don't dust it too much, just a sprinkle.
Let's cross out that.
It can be sprinkled in between the games if you so desire.
Okay, we stick with the sprinkling. I'm happy with the sprinkling.
Right.
But I play Watch Dogs first.
So you're completely throwing my idea out the window.
No. I'm sticking with it. Okay. Because like I said, I don't think Watch Dogs will be bad, but then I don't think it will be great. So it's something to kind of get me in the mood of burning through and completing games, which might not sound like a good thing, but when I've got 4 of these games that I've built up that I got to play, I kind of have to have that attitude. And because I spend a lot of time on the YouTube channel, I've had that attitude for years since doing YouTube because I've had to. So I'm thinking Watch Dogs first because, Last of Us is a constant because it's going to be great. So I agree with you to keep it last because it's always ending in a positive place, and it's going to be great to replay it. And also, if I keep it last, then it means that even if I don't get to it, it doesn't matter because I already played it. But I'm thinking, because Watch Dogs I know more that I'm probably going to find it average, I'd rather get that out of the way and then go straight from the Evil Within, which Evil Within might be really good, but at the same time it might be really bad. So if it's really bad, I'd rather not go from Evil Within into average Watch Dogs into Last of Us that is really good. I'd rather go average, really bad, right into really good. So if it's really good, then great. But if it's really bad, then I will go straight into The Last of Us and then just get rid of the memory. And I would have still beaten Watch Dogs before that point. So I'm thinking I'm going Sprinkling of Destiny, Watch Dogs, Evil Within, Last of Us.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
You don't sound too happy with that, but...
Well, do I particularly care what you're saying? That's another question.
Oh, that's what I didn't ask it for a reason.
Oh, alright. I see how it is.
Well, I think that's a solid plan. What's wrong with the plan?
Nothing's wrong with the plan.
You obviously don't like it. I want to hear your critique.
I think it's the fact we're talking about the plan in the first place.
Listen, I need a plan, okay? Listen, you may Mr. Pioneer over there doing whatever the hell you want, regardless of it. But I like to keep up. Yeah, I like to keep up, And when I say keep up, I mean play Watch Dogs that came out in May last year, Last of Us, which is a really old, is a port, and Evil Within that nobody really cared for. So that's my keeping up. I've got a lot of... But I've got so much time. There's no new games coming out. Oh no, there's Majora's Mask.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
This changes... Right, get rid of the plan.
Come back to us next time with a plan, please.
There we go. That's the plan.
Right, good. Plan sorted.
The plan stays. I've still got... Shoot, if I do get my PS4 tomorrow, then I've got a bit over 2 weeks. I think I can do it. I think we're good. And even after Majora's Mask, there's nothing coming out until, like, April, I think.
Order. I'm playing the Order.
Yeah,
That's
you're
right.
playing it.
I'm playing the Order.
I don't want to play it.
Okay.
So that means I've got nothing to play.
You're screwed.
I've got time.
All right, well, good luck.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll tell you how it goes next week.
Cool.
Because by next week, I should be a good chunk into Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
Is it, though?
Well, yes.
Okay.
It got great reviews. So, what do you say about that, Joe?
I'm going to stick to being Tom Hanks and hope... Oh, yeah, by the way, apparently there is a Wilson in the game as well.
Wilson.
They put a Wilson. I must find the Wilson.
Yeah, well, he's there, man.
He's going to be there somewhere. That's a little Easter egg.
And you're going to accidentally eat him and feel horrible.
What?
I don't know.
I mean, there are lots of coconuts and crabs. I think I'll be alright.
Well, that's good.
Unless, I don't know, I just find Wilson so attractive by a certain point I need to eat him.
Mm-hmm.
That may well happen. There's no other people on this island.
That's a good point.
Who knows what could happen?
It's either the ball or the crabs, so...
Well, yeah. Well, I'll come back to you.
Cool. Okay, so... Got another thing, right? I brought a PS2.
Oh.
I know they're quite old, and you would assume that I would have one, probably, but I didn't. So I woke up yesterday and was like, I want to play some PS2. So I went into the city and brought one. So now I have one.
How much was it out of interest?
Well, with the memory card...
£35.
It was 36. We were looking for 36, Joe.
Damn.
And with that, I got the PS2, got the memory card, and I got 4 games as well.
Which were? Or can you not say? Are they secret?
Yeah, they are. I already have like a stupid amount of PS2 games from when my PS3 still worked and could play PS2 games. So I do have like a massive pile of them. So pretty much all the ones that I really like I already had. So with these ones I kind of just brought 4 random sort of ones with the potential of reviewing some of them. I actually re-brought Time Splitters 1. That was one of them. I didn't realise Captain Ash was on the cover. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. I think the cover's different, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if I have it. Like, I was in the shop and was like, do I have Time Splitters 1? I just could not remember, so I just got it anyway.
Well,
so I might
to
have
play
2.
Safe.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have Time Splitters 3, but then I couldn't remember if I had that one either. I know I definitely have 2.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's all I have to say. I just kind of picked one up because I found this little shop where it's like in this underground place and it doesn't look like a shop. It's just like a big underground thing right in the middle of the city. And then there's like a bong shop right next to it. It's very odd.
There's always a bong shop next to them.
Of course.
It's the rule.
Well,
I know exactly
saved me a lot of
time.
About. Yeah. So they had old consoles and they had like a Sega Saturn, and I was like, I kind of want it, but I thought I'll just stick to the PS2, and one day I'll go back for the Sega Saturn because it was weird seeing one.
Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
What one's
don't
that?
Tell me. Oh, you don't know?
No, is it the Mega Drive?
Is it the Mega Drive? Pretty much how it goes. You got the Mega Drive, right? And then they did they did the CD, which was an attachment to it. Then they did the 32X, which was another attachment to it to make it 32-bit. And then after that, they released a whole new console called the Saturn that did 3D. Then after that, they then did the Dreamcast, and that's when they went broke. So it was the console in between the Mega Drive and the Dreamcast.
Okay.
But it was like its own legit console. It's where Sonic R, Sonic R was made for that. And so was Nights into Dreams, if you've heard of that game.
I have not.
Well then, Pan's the Dragoon.
Are you saying words now?
It's a game series.
Are you speaking in tongues? What's going on?
Panzer Dragoon.
Bless you.
They made that God, they made that spiritual successor, Crimson Dragoon, on the Xbox One using Kinect. Yeah? No. Well then, I guess I won't buy the Sega Saturn then.
No. I forbid you.
Buy the Sega Saturn. I'm going to buy one.
How much was it? I bet it must be quite expensive.
I don't think it was that bad, actually. I think the Sega Saturn itself is quite cheap, but the games are more expensive. I think that's the deal.
Okay.
The N64 they had there was 55 quid, which I was like, no. I love the N64, but I'm not paying 55 quid for one. It wasn't even like an official one. It was one of those horrible ones that was like coloured.
Oh.
Yeah, one of those like purpley ones. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, that's not
Didn't
right.
like it.
No.
Okay, well, there's only one more thing that I kind of wanted to mention. And I probably don't really need to mention it. But I put up my first review in ages on Saturday night, which was pretty cool. I mean, it was frustrating as hell editing that thing because I just didn't know anything to do with Adobe Premiere, and there was a lot of looking up tutorials online and then being like, that doesn't make any sense, and then spending another half an hour just trying to, put together stuff. But I did it in the end. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And now I can do a lot more stuff in Adobe Premiere, so it was a win-win in my book.
I watched that review, and I saw the Premiere Pro shining through. I saw the bit where you had Mario in the background and it blurred, and you had the arrow.
Yeah,
Tom's on it. He's on the ball.
I told you I was going to do the blur effect.
And you did.
I love the blur effect.
And the ending with the score, it was like the game just zooms in. It's boom, boom.
I know, right?
It blew me away.
You're like, I have never seen such editing techniques used before. And I definitely didn't take all the ideas of doing those techniques from other people's videos. That's for sure.
It was no, it's good. And what I mean by this is, if that was your first go using it, I'm sure you're going to come up with more ways to use it, and it will be interesting.
yeah, totally, man. I'm all over that. Yeah. Only help from here.
Bloody what is? Get to work.
Well,
I want
thanks.
star wipes. I want more star wipes.
That's it. I'll just do star wipe to blur Mario, and we're all good.
Please
We'll be happy with that. But no, that was actually kind of something that was different with that review that people might not notice, is that I wrote it a little differently. That I didn't use quite the same structure as before. So, for me, it's going to take like a week or two, then I'm going to rewatch it and see if it actually turned out alright. Because at the moment, I just see all the editing stuff. So I hope it turned out fine. Because it was a bit different where I didn't break stuff down in the same way. But it's more different. That's more for me to notice than people to particularly make a point of noticing. So, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with it, but whether it actually represents me writing my reviews differently, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, let's just wait for the angry comments.
Yes.
Then we'll see.
Haven't had any yet. Some guy was like, I like this game, but I understand your points.
Oh,
so that's all I want.
That's boring.
It's good. I like it. I won't complain.
Okay, fine.
That's more than I can hope for. Because that's the thing, like, I had of course we're referencing the Jack 2 that's every week with that review. But I looked up another guy's review. I can't remember his name, but he was just trying to, like, do the whole, like, directly try and do, like, a John Tron sort of peanut. You know, he was trying to directly do one of those, and to the fact where he was doing a voice that some of the other people would do. Like, it was quite shameless. But he did, I think he's still in the process of doing a Jack marathon where he's reviewing all the games. And in his Jack 2 review, he made some of the exact same points that I made. But because he was more apologetic, and because he's, like, going for that certain sort of style where he shows his face and makes a funny face and then does all that kind of stuff, people didn't attack him in the same way. It wasn't quite as brutal. So I think maybe in that aspect, that's probably why I got some of it. Or I got more brutal comments. Because I don't have that, or that review doesn't have the same shine that some of the bigger YouTubers would have. So there you go.
That is the world we live in, folks.
But the reason why I looked at a different review is because I was like, well, other people have to agree with me, right? Like, I want to see somebody review this game who really likes it and see how they put their argument across and the points they make. And the first one I watched, the guy's like, I think this is the best Jack game, but the open world is a bit dull and pointless, and also the last third of the game is just really stupid and dull, but otherwise it's a really good game. It's just like, well, kind of made the same points but didn't commit. So screw him.
So he should have, yeah. No, I can see where you're coming from. It's spineless.
It's a little bit.
If you're going to do that, you take on the comments. You actually sicken me. You're going to take that in your stride.
Yeah.
You don't just wuss out of it.
No, you got to take a few of them.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Just because you sicken a few people, Tom, doesn't mean it was a bad review.
Well, thank you.
Okay, you sickened me a little bit, but
well...
I think the review was good.
Despite what you think of my personality, you still think the review wasn't bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's cheered me right up.
Good.
And when I play through Watch Dogs, I'm going to be like, great. I'm going to be happy then too.
Just think of my words, and it will make you feel better.
I'll be like, well, at least Joe thinks I'm not horrible at making the reviews, just the personality. Hey.
Great, lovely.
Cool. But the reason why I'm also excited to be playing these PS4 games is because I got a sofa. So now I've got it all set up, where I've got my TV, got my sofa, and everything, which I know doesn't sound like a big deal, but in my old place I didn't have a sofa. So in this new one I do. So now I can actually sit there and
the bachelor
be like,
pad is set up.
Yeah, the bachelor. Yeah, like that's what I've got now. So that's why I'm also pretty excited about going all in with playing my PS4. I mean, I could play Captain Toad, but it's not the same. It won't be the same.
No. Screw Toad.
No, not Screw Toad. No, well, I guess that is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, any final thoughts before we end off the podcast?
No.
Cool.
Not really. No. Sorry, I was just inspecting those Jamie Dodgers. 3 left. I really wanted to eat some.
Oh, well, you still can.
I still will. Don't worry.
And yeah, by the way, people listening, we are going to a shorter format. Just because before when we did the podcast, there was like a lot of things to talk about, I feel. Or it's just, I don't know. It made sense to have it be like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But now I think it feels more to do it an hour. I mean, we're at like almost an hour 15, so really it's not that much shorter. But in general, in the future, we're looking at a smaller format. Unless there's like reasons to, like, oh, a ton of stuff happened, so we'll do a 2-hour one. Things like that. But in general, when it's just me and Joe, we're going for a little bit shorter. Just because there's not as much things to talk about, I don't feel like.
Well, yeah, and also, the longer we go on for, the more we just talk about meaningless rubbish that people really don't want to listen to. So
yeah,
it's better just to end it before it gets to that point.
And the same topics. Like I don't think we talked about The Simpsons or Bond so far, have we?
No, that's true. We haven't.
I'll talk about The Simpsons next week.
Okay.
Because I have been watching the new season, so there's some stuff.
Oh, good. Look forward to it.
Cool. Well, anyway, Joe, or Mr. McLuckable, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
And we will see you next week.
See ya. Oh, I forgot